So today we're going to tie a Posh Tosh style salmon fly. So we're going to use the Raids Up exact bobbin holder, and we're going to use some luminous chartreuse garden thread at 74 denier. The hook is a progressive double, size 6 from Arex. So I like to start my thread kind of where my body is going to end. So when you're tying a fly, it's important to know where you're going to be putting, the certain aspects. For example, I'm going to have my wing tied in here, 2 hackles and then another wing. So you need to leave a bit of room for it. So once we started our thread, just snip that off and run it down the shank, just touching and turning. So we're going to use some oval. So this is the garden silver small oval. We'll just tie that underneath. And again, I pull the oval down to the end of the thread so as to keep everything nice and tidy and neat. So for our body, we're going to use some fluorescent chartreuse mini flat braid from the garden. So same again, tie it in and just level it up and touch and turns going back to where you want the tag to start. And then touch and turns going forward. Try and keep the body nice and level so you don't have any lumps and bumps. So these mini flat braids are brilliant for just taking the shape of the shank. It gives you such a nice smooth body, and they're really nice to work with. So what I'll do is we'll tie that in. And we'll snip that off. So then we'll do our tag and rib. So you want roughly five turns. I'm just taking up my thread to tie that in. So I'll just snip that away. So the first underwing then, we're going to use some yellow Arctic runner. So the Arctic runner, I know it's hard to get, but it really does look great in the water. And it's probably one of my favourite materials for wings and tails. So I'm just shaping up the runner. So somewhere along there, I think, is good. So we'll just take that, snip at the sides, and then we're just gonna tie that on. So one loose wrap, I'll hold it in place, and then a little bit of super glue, just to secure. So a little bit of super glue down the thread. And then touch and turns. And then just clean off any excess so you're not bulking it out. So that's secure. So now we'll add in some flash as well. So a single strand of pearl. And we'll just bring that up onto here and fold it back up over. And then 2 wraps going back. Now, I'll trim this off to the same length as the underwing, and then just lick your fingers and give it a wee. See what it's like. So that's sitting nice. So our first hackle then is a green hackle. So create your little tie-in point on your hackle. Fold the tip back and then bring your thread, touch and turns going forward. Create a nice base to put your hackle on. So pull out your tip, and then you want to start winding your hackle on. So there's no rush at this part. Take your time and get your hackle turns where they are touching each other, going forward like so. So for each colour there's 2 hackles on this, a green and a yellow, and 2 to 3 turns for each is plenty. I'll just tie that one in. Fold the stem back and tie it in. So I'll give you a nice secure hackle. So snip out the stem. And give the hackle a little brush just to see how it's sitting. Sitting okay. So the next hackle then is a yellow. Same thing, create your little tie-in point. So 3 going back, fold the tip, and then 3 going forward again. 4th. Pull out your tip. So again, when you're putting your hackles on, take your time and be happy with how your hackle is sitting. Unwrap it if need be and get it sitting how you want it. There's no point rushing. And then we'll just tie in that stem. So 3 forward and 3 back, or 4 back, just to keep that stem in place. And we'll snip that out. And then we're going to change our thread over at this point, so we'll give it a wee bit of finish. So our main wing then, again we're going to use Arctic Runner. So picked a bunch of Arctic Runner, just pulling out all the underfur. And then start pulling out these guard hairs, you don't need them all, and just start shaping your wing. So here I'm using my nail and I'm pressing down and I'm pulling out the underfur. So that'll take a lot of bulk out of it. So I'm measuring up for length. So I want this to be slightly longer than the yellow. So somewhere kind of in that ballpark. So just measure it up for length and give it a little snip. So one to hold it in place, and again with the glue, just going to run it down the thread. Now it's still sitting a little bit too forward for me, so I'm going to lift it and pinch it and pull it back slightly. And then when I've got it where I want it, I'm going to use some tight wraps, and that's going to hold it in place for me exactly where I want it. So now we're going to add in a little bit more flesh. I'll put these on both sides to follow the contour of the wing. And then we'll just give them a little trim. Next up is the jungle cock. Pull the stems back and a couple of tight wraps to secure it all in place. I'll snip out those stems. And a little whip finish. The camera's actually getting in the way of me using the tools. So that is the fly finished. But what we'll do now is we're actually going to use some Raid Zap Thin to finish off the head. So this fly works really well in, like peat stained rivers. It's a very popular fly over in the River Tweed over in Scotland. Oh, some friends over there have had some great success using this fly. So I'm going to take our Raid Zap torch and then we'll cure it off, and you can just see the colour there starting to shine through in that UV of the flap braid. And that's the fly complete. Thanks for watching.